So sometimes it happens like clockwork. Your preteen or teen walks through the door after a long day at school, and you say something like, "Hey, how was your day?" They may just slam their books down and shout, "I don't want to talk about it." Or sometimes you're going about your day and you may ask your daughter or your son, to bring do you think you can bring these clothes upstairs for laundry? They just get upset, grab it, bang the door, they're just, and say, "Why always me? Am I the only one in this house?" All those kind of things. If you have preteens and teens, it happens a lot with them. So someone will say, "What's up with these big teen emotions?" As adults, hopefully, we know how to identify, and control our emotions. When we're angry, we know, or try to walk away, to calm down. When we feel sadness, we know it's often temporary. When we are hungry, we eat. It seems so simple to us as parents or as adults, but we do not realize that we went through a lot of growth or growing up to get to this point. Our brains needed to develop so we could acquire some emotional regulation, emotional intelligence, impulse control, communication skills. We as we grew up, we begin to gain perspective. Like I said, perspective is something that parents bring to the table when raising preteens and teens because of life expectations. We have gained perspective. We've perhaps learned to set boundaries, take care of ourselves, recognize when we're feeling out of control. But even as adults, sometimes we're overreacting. We're flying off the handles. We're acting irrationally. I mean, even if we're not doing, we can see other adults that do the same. Sometimes we need to apologize to our partner, for lashing out because of stress, or take few deep breaths or exercise or just go for a walk. It's very common for humans to express hurt in inappropriate ways. For adolescents, it can be even more powerful and excessive. It's important that we know this. So, why are preteens and teens so emotional? There's a laundry list of things that impact teenagers' emotions. This could include brain development, this could include academic stress, family dynamics, puberty, and hormones. I'm trying to recall them from my head. Peer pressure, peer relationships, social issues, mental health challenges if they have any, and just the desire for independence. Even physical changes, and development in the body can cause them to be emotional. Sexual identity and discovery can cause them to be emotional. That's preteens and teens for you. So with all these at play, often simultaneously, it's not surprising that our preteens and teens emotions can sometimes boil over to us, their parents. And most often, our preteens and teens do not understand what they are feeling. So it comes out in a different form. For example, after a long day at school, where they felt like an outcast, or a simple request from a parent can feel like criticism. So they come back from school, they're tired, and you ask them to do something, they just, with all these feelings welling up inside them, they may lash out at their parents or family members in anger. I'm not saying this is right. They may say they are not being treated fairly or that their parent is being overbearing. When they get admonished for their response, they might explode in rage. So when you see it written out, you can understand why your teenager might respond with aggression. Not that it's appropriate, like I said, but unfortunately, a parent often has no idea what happens to their teenagers during the day. So when they get a teenage tornado, they feel like it's directed at them when in fact it's the result of pressure that's been building all day that we might not know about. So it boils down to this: when teenagers become emotionally overwhelmed, overstimulated, or confused, they reduce their ability to act logically or rationally. And that's why we're discussing what we're discussing today. Yeah. So let's get right into the video. 5 critical tips to diffuse an emotional teenager. So watch till the end, like, share, subscribe. Yeah, see you. So here are 5 ways to effectively respond to an emotional preteen or teen. Unfortunately, many of us parents did not see healthy conflict resolution or emotional regulation growing up. Maybe you or I lived in a house of yellas or where passive aggression, or aggressive comments were the norm. You may have dealt with threats or fear of your parents cutting you off or ignoring you. It's possible you were never taught skills to problem solve, and you saw people, maybe people around you, use alcohol, drugs, or other behaviors as coping mechanisms. Or you had to navigate authoritarian parents who try to control your actions and feelings. A lot of us can relate to this. So let me just say this: it is tough to model something you've never seen. It's a learning process. So if you are facing an emotionally charged preteen or teen who lashes out or perhaps is acting irrational, here are some of the things you can do to diffuse the situation. So number one, talk slow, talk soft, and talk scant. So I met a high school teacher and a mom who had raised 4 teenagers, and she was telling me that when she gets, comes when she comes to an upset teenager, sometimes is more than how you say it than what you say. So she was saying, when I'm in the thorns of it with one of my child, I have to majorly check my own reaction time. So she said I can easily go from 0 to 60 in 2 seconds if I'm anxious or stressed. So when I sense that my teenager, are in a mood, I do these things. So the first one is talk slow. Don't be oblivious about it, but slow your words down. Think about what you were saying and pause between statements. This slows the conversation down and gives them a chance, to compose themselves. When you're rushing to respond, the emotions can keep flying, like she said, from 0 to 60. The second one is talk soft. So when my kids were younger, our house was naturally loud, with 3 kids, close in age, at least, neighbors' children coming up and down. I mean, she was saying this. There's always a lot of commotion. So we often ended up shouting at each other over noise and didn't realize the impact it had, on our emotional state. The louder your teen gets, the softer you should become. Remember that it's not about endorsing your kids' behavior, but modeling what they should be doing. Do you get that? It's not about endorsing their behavior, but modeling what they should be doing. And then the last one, talk scant. Okay, I'm going to be honest. A space filler, she was saying. I need to put words in dead air. It's an awful habit when you're raising teenagers. But trust me when I say this, when dealing with an emotional teenager, less is more. It's not the time to repeat yourself or try to give a lesson. Keep your words brief and to the point. So number two is have phrases ready. Something I had to come to terms with was I was not always good in the moment. I mean, most of us can relate. I know what I need to do, but my execution is off. That's where preparation is key. So if your teenager's anger is out of control and they're lashing out, here are a few things you can say and do to diffuse the situation. The first one is, that sounds rough. Let me know if you want to talk about it. I'll be in my room. Second one is, I see that you're upset, and understandably so. Take a minute to gather your thoughts, and if you want to talk, I'm here. The third one is, want to know more about what happened and how you're feeling, but I don't think you are ready to talk about it yet. When you are ready, I am here. And then the fourth one is, I need you to stop. I am always here for you, but not at your punching bag. I'm going to walk away now, and when you're ready, I'll be in the kitchen. And then the fifth one is, this is not how we talk to each other. I've made a video about this before. I see you're upset about something and I'd like to help, but not like this. So when your teenager is being obnoxious, mean, or ill-mannered, or perhaps even threatening, it can be challenging not to blur the lines between the behavior and the person. You may start thinking they've changed at their core or become something different. It's important to keep in mind, though, that the behavior is usually telling you about a problem or need that is not being met, or something has happened. Kind of like a symptom of an illness. A fever is a sign of an infection, just like a teen's disrespect can be a sign of something wrong, in their lives. So also, they might be acting out to get your attention. Do a gut check and ask yourself if you are available, to your teen. Do not put your phone down. Do you put your phone down when they enter your room? Do you check in with them each night? Do you try to have meals together or listen to, what interests them? Teenagers know when you're not paying attention or just pacifying them. Make sure make sure they know you are a trusted source for them, no matter what. And it's also important to remember that your teenager may never thank you for doing these things, and they may keep pushing for a fight. But this is where you have to remember that your teen or your preteen is acting developmentally normal, and you need to act as the grown up. Yeah, so if you need to walk into a room and shut the door so on them until they calm down, so be it. Knowing when to engage and when to walk away is an important life skill when you're parenting preteens and teens. Number three is, be the calm you want to see, which means you're working on your responses. I get it, it's hard, so hard to stay calm when you're in the midst of this teenage tomfoolery. When they are 6 foot tall people who are snobs, eat all your food, and then expect you to give them money for something they want to buy, after calling you bruh and all that. But remaining calm is a superpower. And the earlier you learn it, the better for you, and showing your teenager or your preteen how you can keep your cool during this conflict, how you can communicate respectfully, how you can cope in difficult situations. It's an incredible gift, and I tell you, they are learning from you. It also will help them disarm other people they encounter who speak aggressively or disrespectfully. Keeping calm also puts us in charge of the rules and engagement, and balances the power game. It may infuriate them at first, but when you don't engage, but eventually they will learn that they only get what they want by speaking to you in a calm and a respectful way. Very, very important. Be the calm you want to see. So there are two parts, to putting yourself in a position like this. The first part is, you need to be willing to give them the space and time to cool down. That's when you use one of, those phrases that I shared. At first, um, teenagers, they find this really infuriating, but eventually it led to more productive and thoughtful conversations. And yes, one time when I was mad at, my daughter, she pulled one of those phrases on me, and it did give me a moment to reflect and to calm down. So our children are obviously learning from us. And then secondly, if you are someone in a constant state of anxiety, anger, or stress, you need to address it, especially when you have children. This is not your child's problem, it is your problem, and you are taking out on others. you need to listen to that part again. Your responses are your responsibility. If you can't control your own anger issues, then you need to go back and figure out why. It may involve executing daily coping strategies such as mindfulness exercises, or walking, seeking therapy, or coming for a counseling session with me. But if we don't take ownership of how we behave, we can't expect our preteens or teens to do the same. Remember, the end goal is how to move the confrontation into a conversation. Number four is KISS. Keep it simple and sweet. So a lot of us grew up in houses where there were only three methods of communication: arguing, passive aggressive comments, or cutting someone off by not talking to them. I'm sure most of us didn't like this, and it has made us, to become people pleasers, and then over communicate. I believe that if someone could just listen and understand where a lot of people were coming from, it will solve a lot of problems. And most of us, when our teen or preteens and teens lash out about something, we often turn it into a teachable moment. We'll lecture, we'll go over the same argument over and over again. We just had a hard time walking away and letting something go. Like we'll say, we carry it in our minds. It will be a disaster. So we have to learn a different way, and that's why I do what I do. um we let these things that our children do to us, spoil our day, spin our head, and everyone is upset, we're carrying our faces. We should do things differently. And for us, it's about proving that we are right and they are wrong. But it's about asking them the questions that will help them find the answers and solve the problem themselves. That's why we need to keep it simple and sweet. This means more questions and less advice. It means shorter conversations in comfortable places, like I said, in the car, or when it's just the two of you at breakfast. It means we can stop trying to fix their problem and instead use phrases like, well, what do you think, we should do next? Keep in mind that a lecture is one-sided. What your team needs is open communication and connection. Number five, and the last one: know when a storm is brewing when you can. Watch out for clues. When I see tension building, I often try to address it before there's an anger outburst. When I knew one of my kids were stressed, I would remind them that I'm here to help, but not to be a punching bag, or, and then I will pitch in a little extra to help them, such as maybe run an errand or make something special for them. I try to get them to understand, I don't know what to call it, mood swings, and manage them appropriately, and talk to them about my own too. I will ask if they were hungry or they're feeling well, to make sure their physical symptoms weren't causing them to be off. Sometimes I often wrote about boundaries and expectations when things were calm, had this discussion, so there was no miscommunication when things went off the rail. This is a lot of work, but I promise you it is worth it. So I hope these five tips I've shared are going to help you if you have a teenager or a preteen that is always emotionally outburst always has emotional outburst at home. We are there to guide them as their parents. We're there to help them succeed. So if this video has helped you, like, share, drop me a comment, and subscribe if you haven't, and I'll see you in my next one. Have an amazing day. Bye.